The team at Technology for Hotels knows how busy you are, so we've created this concise briefing to keep you up to date on key happenings in the hotel industry. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the 5-Star Weekly Briefing, your pulse on the hospitality industry.
This week's briefing is brought to you by VTech, the global leader in hospitality telecommunications, providing elegant antibacterial guest room phones designed for the modern hotel environment. Today, Friday, 1 May 2026, imagine finding out that the algorithm your hotel uses to maximize profits is the exact same reason your guests are abandoning your brand forever.
Yeah, that is a sobering thought.
Right. Today we are unpacking the double-edged sword of this AI revolution. We're looking at how tech-driven efficiency is funding these massive global mega brand expansions.
Huge expansions, yeah.
And why a small, profit-for-purpose hotel in Sydney might just hold the ultimate blueprint for independent operators to fight back.
It is a massive operational shift, and honestly, the stakes have just never been higher.
No, they really haven't.
Because if you look at the new research out from Access Hospitality and Deloitte, the very foundation of how a guest, discovers your property has completely fractured.
Fractured how? What are the numbers looking like?
Well, nearly 25% of travelers are now using generative AI for their trip planning.
Wait, 25%?
Yep, which is a staggering 300% increase just since 2022.
I need to pause right there because
it's huge, right?
It is, because for the last decade, hotel operators have just lived and died by traditional search engine optimization. You knew the rules of the game.
You bid on keywords.
Exactly. You bid on keywords, you optimize your website, you climb the Google rankings. But this study shows that AI is now dominating the crucial discovery and evaluation stages of booking.
Yeah, capturing 35% to 33% of that activity, respectively.
Right, and that is the exact moment when brand preferences are formed.
Yeah.
That's long before a guest ever navigates to a direct booking site or an online travel agency.
Which is precisely why Nicola Longfield, the CCO of Access Hospitality, raised such a massive red flag for operators recently. She pointed out that OTAs like Expedia are currently just drastically outperforming traditional hotel giants in what we call AI mention share.
Wait, break down mention share for me.
Sure.
Because if Marriott or Hilton is spending, tens of millions of dollars on global brand awareness, how is an OTA stealing that visibility in an AI prompt?
Well, it really comes down to how these large language models actually scrape and synthesize data. Generative AI doesn't care about a billboard in Times Square.
Right, doesn't see that.
Exactly. It builds itineraries based on the sheer volume, the structure, and the accessibility of digital data. Because OTAs aggregate millions of data points across thousands of brands, their digital footprint is incredibly dense.
Oh, and well-structured, I see.
Very well structured. So when a traveler asks an AI to, say, build a luxury 5-day itinerary for the Gold Coast,
the AI is mathematically far more likely to recommend booking that trip through Expedia.
Exactly. Rather than going direct to the hotel's proprietary site, the OTAs are effectively building a new digital moat around the very top of the booking funnel.
Okay, that is terrifying if you are pushing a direct booking strategy.
It really is.
And I suppose the only way to fight back is with better, more unified data of your own.
Spot on.
There's a new APAC industry white paper out called From Data to Delight that actually tackles this.
Yeah.
It argues that AI has moved way beyond just saving time on the back end for staff.
Yeah, it's not just an admin tool anymore.
No, it is now the primary driver of experiential hospitality. For millennial and Gen Z travelers, especially in Australia and New Zealand, this technology is essential for delivering the personalized relevance and recognition they demand.
But the white paper highlights a fatal flaw, right?
Yeah, exactly. It fails completely if your AI is built on fragmented legacy platforms.
Because the tech stack is the Achilles heel for most properties. You can buy the most sophisticated AI on the market, but if your booking engine physically cannot talk to your property management system,
or your restaurant point-of-sale system is siloed off somewhere.
Right, the AI has zero context. It can't personalize anything because it doesn't actually know who the guest is.
Which brings us to the most controversial tightrope operators are walking right now, which is algorithmic dynamic pricing.
Oh, yeah. The pricing algorithm.
This used to be a strategic revenue management tool handled by a human being, looking at market trends. But now it has shifted into a completely automated, opaque algorithmic process.
And everyone is doing it.
Major global players like Marriott International, Hilton Worldwide, IHG, alongside heavy-hitting consulting firms like McKinsey and BCG, they're all leading this charge.
Even in the Pacific region, we're seeing independent operators adopting these tools to combat rising operational costs and, frankly, severe labor shortages.
Well, it makes complete sense on a spreadsheet.
Definitely.
An algorithm can adjust your room rates hundreds of times a day based on microfluctuations in demand.
Or weather patterns, or local search volume. It undeniably boosts revenue per available room, your RevPAR, and it protects profit margins in real time.
Let me push back on that, though.
Okay.
Yes, it protects margins today, but it is creating a massive perception problem with the guest. People are starting to feel that these fluctuating rates are, well, completely arbitrary.
Or fundamentally unfair.
Exactly. To me, this looks exactly like the early days of ride-share surge pricing.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Right. It's highly profitable in the short term, but it is extremely risky for your long-term brand trust. If a guest feels they're being gouged just because it started raining and the algorithm sensed a spike in demand,
They might grit their teeth and book today.
but they will actively hunt for an alternative next time.
And that is the central tension of the hospitality industry right now. The algorithm is optimizing for the immediate transaction.
Not the lifetime value of the guest.
Exactly. Which leads us to the big operational pivot. If dynamic pricing is eroding guest trust on the digital booking side, operators have to use seamless operational tech to win that trust back once the guest is physically in the building.
Over-delivering on the actual service.
Precisely. Look at the Ecomnews 2026 Buyer's Guide. It highlights a massive shift toward AI-powered property ecosystems specifically designed to outservice short-term rentals.
Right, like Saba Hospitality's new voice AI assistant. That is a prime example of this working in the real world.
It really is.
Saba's solution is fascinating because it targets the silent crisis of overwhelmed front desks. And crucially, this isn't one of those generic, frustrating booking chatbots you argue with on a website.
No, not at all. It integrates natively into a property's PayBX system.
And for anyone who isn't an engineer, PayBX is just the traditional, hardwired telephone routing system inside the hotel.
Right, and that is the genius of it. You don't have to rip open the walls and replace decades of copper wiring to install a new smart system.
Thank goodness.
A guest simply picks up the standard phone in their room, asks for extra towels or maybe reports of broken AC, and the AI automatically identifies the room number.
Translates a request if needed, right?
Yes, and routes the ticket directly to a housekeeper's or maintenance worker's device. No human front desk intervention is required.
By removing that front desk bottleneck, you're proving to the guest that your technological upgrades aren't just there to squeeze more revenue out of them through surge pricing.
Exactly. They actually exist to make their stay completely frictionless.
Okay, so AI is squeezing margins on the booking side, but it's saving mass amounts of cash and time on the operational side.
Massive amounts.
What are these huge global brands actually doing with all that newly freed up capital?
Well, they are translating operational efficiency into capital efficiency. We are seeing unprecedented asset-light regional growth from the mega brands right now.
Asset light. Okay, give me an example.
The Ascott Limited is the ultimate case study here. They have transitioned from being a traditional real estate owner into a global lodging management powerhouse.
Right.
Under the leadership of Kevin Go, they now manage an astonishing 180,000 keys globally. But here's the kicker. They own just 0.1% of that entire portfolio.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
If you only own 0.1% of the buildings with your name on them, how on earth do you maintain consistent 5-star brand standards? That sounds like a quality control nightmare waiting to happen.
That is where hotel management agreements come in, HMAs. Ascott doesn't want to tie up billions of dollars buying land and pouring concrete.
Too risky.
Exactly. Instead, they sell their operational playbook, their booking engine, and their brand equity to third-party real estate developers.
Ah, I see. So Ascott controls the standards and the software.
And the developer assumes the real estate risk. It allows Ascott to scale at warp speed using what they call a flex hybrid model.
You know, I actually love the flex hybrid concept because it functions exactly like a diversified stock portfolio.
How so?
Well, Ascott is blending long-stay properties brands like Quest apartment hotels in Australia and New Zealand, or Oakwood. And those act as your defensive, resilient bonds.
Right. They provide a stable, predictable baseline of occupancy, even during an economic downturn.
Exactly. Then you mix in short-stay properties, which are your high-yield, aggressive equities.
Ah, I like that analogy.
Those properties allow you to capitalize on peak demand and seasonal surges. And they are pushing this aggressively with new developments, like the Ascott Tejo Hanoi.
Well, and they are far from the only ones accelerating this capital light approach.
Who else is doing it?
Minor hotels. They had a record 2025 and are now leveraging HMAs and franchising for massive Australasian growth.
Oh yeah, we're seeing this with the Avani Lava Beach Hotel.
And the upcoming NH Collection in Sydney, plus another Avani in Queenstown. By keeping their capital fluid, they can expand their brand architecture across the Anantara, NH hotels, and Avani flags at a pace a traditional owner-operator could really never match.
And Hilton is playing the exact same game in the Asia Pacific. Regional President Alan Watts is driving a strategy that will see 8 brand debuts just in 2026.
8 debuts in 1 year.
Yeah, they have a pipeline of over 80 properties in the high-growth luxury and lifestyle segments, with more than 15 openings this year alone.
That's a massive footprint.
But what I find really telling isn't the sheer number, it's the geography. They aren't just throwing darts at a map.
No, they never do.
They are specifically dropping luxury and lifestyle brands, like the debut of Nomad in Singapore, Sydney and Avani, and LXR Hotels and Resorts, landing on Australia's Gold Coast through the transformation of the Imperial Hotel.
Right.
They're targeting secondary and high-end resort markets to capture the overflow of luxury travelers who are just being priced out of Tier 1 cities.
Exactly. It is a highly calculated geographical spread. And you see the same aggression from IHG Hotels and Resorts. They just signed a landmark partnership with Kangeo Tourist City Corporation, which is a Vingroup subsidiary, to develop 4 hotels inside the Vinhomes Green Paradise Kangeo coastal megacity in Vietnam.
That is a massive project.
Just that single project is over 1,000 rooms. It spans the InterContinental, Crown Plaza, Holiday Inn Express, and the Garner brand, which actually marks Garner's official entry into the Vietnam market.
And IHG is also pushing hard into Japan, signing the Holiday Inn Express Sapporo Susukino.
Right.
It's a 223-room conversion opening in July 2026, and it's notable because it debuts their Generation 5 design in the Japanese market.
And for anyone who hasn't looked at a Gen 5 spec sheet, it isn't just about new wallpaper.
Oh, not at all. It's fundamentally about operational efficiency and reducing the cost to build. It maximizes spatial efficiency and uses modular elements so owners can open doors faster and housekeeping can turn over rooms quicker.
But here is where we really have to look at the broader ecosystem.
Okay.
For every massive, multi-brand, 1,000-room development pumped out by a global conglomerate, there's a counter-movement.
The independents.
Yes, independent and boutique properties are fiercely competing for market share, but they aren't trying to fight Hilton or IHG on scale. They are competing through highly localized, purpose-driven experiences.
Yes, the boutique boom is incredibly real right now. Small luxury hotels of the world, or SLH, added 29 new boutique properties in just the first quarter of 2026.
That's huge growth for a boutique collection.
Their portfolio is now over 700 independently owned hotels across 100 countries. They are capturing this surging demand from guests who actively want, independently minded travel.
Properties with actual character.
Exactly. They've added stunning, isolated regional properties like Tuluna's private island in Indonesia and 2 Azurai properties in Vietnam.
What's crucial to understand is that this independent movement isn't just about offering a distinct location. It is increasingly about offering distinct values.
Values over just views.
Right. Take a look at what Song Hotel Sydney is doing right now with the Reclaimed Room. This is a sustainable guest room concept developed with upcycling designer Jaharn Quinn.
Oh, I read about this.
They are using repurposed furniture and DIY design techniques to drastically reduce commercial waste.
And it goes deeper than just sustainable furniture, too. Song Hotel is actually Australia's first profit-for-purpose hotel.
Which is such an amazing concept.
Under the leadership of General Manager John Ackery, all the profits from their operation go directly to support YWCA Australia's housing and leadership programs for women.
Wow.
If you are listening to this and you're running a 50-room independent boutique, hearing that Hilton is opening 15 luxury properties this year is terrifying.
Yeah, it would keep you up at night.
But Song Hotel strategy proves you don't need Hilton's wallet to win. You need a compelling narrative. When a guest knows their travel spend is actively funding housing for women, rather than just padding a corporate dividend, that creates a level of fierce brand loyalty, and algorithms simply cannot replicate.
That's beautifully said. But we also have to acknowledge the other side of the independent and regional market, where well-backed owners are choosing to spend millions to compete on sheer physical luxury.
Yeah, the big refurbs.
Travel and Leisure Co. has just commenced a $5 million Australian refurb of the Wyndham Surfers Paradise. General Manager Patrick Swain is overseeing a full interior redesign of 77 apartments and premium sky suites, pushing a highly sophisticated coastal aesthetic.
And just down the coast, the InterContinental Sydney Coogee Beach has completed its multi-million-dollar transformation under General Manager Melinda Lampier.
Right.
They upgraded 198 guest rooms, added a heated ocean-facing infinity pool, an alfresco club intercontinental lounge, and a wellness wing that includes pickleball courts and the high-tech Eliva Spa.
Which forces operators into a really difficult strategic corner.
Yeah.
The battle of scale versus story.
Scale versus story. I like that.
As these major flags spend millions on slick, capital-intensive refurbs to dominate the luxury space, can true independents actually survive trying to play that same game?
Probably not.
Or is the highly localized, sustainable, profit-for-purpose model we see at Song Hotel the only viable blueprint to stand out without breaking the bank?
It's the ultimate debate, and you see it playing out in real time within the regional pipelines. Radisson Hotel Group just signed the Radisson Hotel Queenstown, a 221-room, purpose-built lifestyle property opening in 2028.
And meanwhile, Minor Hotels signed a dual deal with Rasa Group in southern Thailand, bringing the Colbert Collection to Koh Samui and a new Avani resort to Koh Phangan.
Every single developer is trying to find the perfect alchemy of authentic local flavor and scalable operational efficiency.
But ultimately, whether a brand is pursuing asset-light, hyper-growth, tech-driven dynamic pricing, or purpose-driven boutique positioning.
It all has to survive the scrutiny of the bottom line.
Exactly. And as we look at the first quarter financial performance for 2026, we are seeing exactly which of these theories are holding up under real-world pressure.
Accor's Q1 results are a perfect scorecard for this. Chairman and CEO Sebastian Bozen reported a highly resilient quarter. Group revenue increased by 2.3% to over 1.3 billion euros, and globally, their RevPR rose by 5.1%.
Incredible numbers.
They opened 48 hotels, adding over 6,700 rooms in a single quarter.
And what's really vital to dissect in Accor's numbers is where that strength actually originated.
Right, because the global market is incredibly volatile right now.
There is significant geopolitical disruption in the Middle East that heavily impacted the UAE hospitality market, for instance. But Accor's immense scale and diversified portfolio neutralized that localized hit.
How so?
Well, their luxury and lifestyle division saw a 6% RevPAR increase, and their premium, mid-scale, and economy division, the PME division, delivered incredibly strong results, particularly in Brazil and Australia.
Why Australia and Brazil specifically?
Well,
actually, it perfectly validates the exact operational efficiencies we discussed at the top of the briefing.
Yes, exactly.
When international travel gets complicated or expensive, you see the lipstick effect of travel. People travel domestically, and they lean heavily on trusted mid-scale brands.
And Accor's strong Australian mid-scale performance proves that when you optimize your middle tier to run lean and smart using tech to reduce overhead, it acts as an unbreakable financial anchor for your entire global operation when other regions face unpredictable headwinds.
Executing that kind of disciplined, tech-forward strategy requires a very specific type of talent, though.
It does, and we are tracking some significant leadership appointments that reflect exactly where the industry is heading. Andy Bidetti has just stepped into the role of Chief Engineer and Facilities Manager at Accor.
Okay.
His job is taking point on the physical and environmental efficiency of those assets, making sure they run as lean as the software dictates.
We also see Vincent Thompson stepping into the co-managing partner role at Gain Advisors. This happens right as the industry requires deeper, more sophisticated strategic advisory to navigate these massive shifts between physical real estate and digital AI integration.
Spot on. And importantly, Kay Goodman has just started as the new Chief Operating Officer at Tipsy.
Tipsy's appointment of a new COO makes perfect sense given the climate.
Completely. Operators are desperate to solve the severe staffing and training crisis we mentioned earlier.
And platforms like Tipsy provide the digital educational infrastructure to train new staff rapidly.
Right. And they need strong operational leadership to scale those solutions globally. If you want to know where major brands are directing their strategic focus next, you just have to look at the problems the new talent is being hired to solve.
Absolutely. The people moving into these key roles today are the ones who will be writing the operational playbooks for the rest of the decade. But, before we wrap, all of this discussion about AI and booking funnels makes you wonder something much bigger.
What's that?
If a guest relies entirely on an AI travel assistant to plan their trip, and that AI is negotiating room rates directly with a hotel's AI pricing algorithm,
Yeah.
will human brand loyalty even matter in 2030? Or are we just building hotels for algorithms? Something to think about.
That wraps up this week's 5-Star Weekly Briefing. Thanks for tuning in and staying informed with the latest in the hotel industry.
Don't forget to check out our 5-Star Conversations podcast, where Brendan Granger from Technology for Hotels sits down with the industry's most influential leaders to uncover their journeys, insights, and the future of hospitality. It's a must-listen for anyone passionate about elevating their guest experience and driving innovation in the hotel world.
Until next time, stay well and stay ahead. See you next week.